Today we're going to be cooking cabbage, steamed cabbage, cornbread, old school cornbread, and I'm going to have Cornish hens. Now, we can't get this all in one segment, so we're going to do it in two. The first thing I'm going to prepare for you is the cabbage, and I'm going to show you how to do that. We have 4 pieces of bacon here, and I've already preheated my skillet. And what I'm going to do is just put, you can hear the sizzle in the background, and I did pre-cut it into thirds. So, and you don't have to do that, but I just did that because when I pick up my cabbage, I want to see bacon all through it. So, and that little piece can kind of like fit it together. Okay. I have that down in my pan, and as you can see, it's already started to sizzle, but there's also some little amounts of fat that's coming from the bacon. Now, what I'm going to do with that is once that fat has built up a little bit, and let's get it from both sides. Okay. It's rendering off the fat real good, and bacon normally does do that. If you can look down in the pan, you can see that I have, see, just move that around so you can see that there is the fat that's coming from the bacon. So what I'm going to do to that is, and there's no more actual grease that's really needed, or no more oils that's needed. I'm going to add 1 medium onion. And I'm just going to let that saute together. The reason why I wanted to show you that first is because I can go back to the cabbage. Now, you know me, I love my cracked black pepper. So I'm going to put in a little bit of cracked black pepper. To that, I'm going to add some kosher salt. And that's salt and black pepper to taste. Now, once we've done that, we're going to come back and finish off this. We're going to let this saute, and I have it on about 4, and that's like a medium for my stove. I have it between 4 and 5. We're going to leave that for a minute, and we're going to go over to the cabbage. Now, I want to show you something about this cabbage today, and I've already started to cut the cabbage off. I want to show you in a later recipe, I will be showing you what to do with these cabbage leaves. If you think that cabbage is good, collard greens are good, anything in the green family is good. If you have not tried these cooked outer leaves of the cabbage, you're really missing a treat. So don't throw away your outer leaves. Just save them, put them in a bag, and save them. You can save them up to 2 weeks. Hopefully, if you go back into the store, you want to have collard greens, but then you say, well, I want a little twist to that. Then you can get cabbage leaves. Now, cabbage leaves are very inexpensive because you're only paying, they consider it rabbit food. So you're only paying like 10 cents a pound for the cabbage leaves. So we're going to set this aside. I just want to show you, don't throw it away. And in a later segment, you'll see me cook the cabbage leaves. I already have my cabbage that I've already quartered, and then I've sliced it up. So I left one because I'm going to do that in front of you. And I took that little core out. Only thing I did is slice my cabbage, and I take it kind of rough, chop it down. Okay, and it doesn't, you can do it with the big hunks. Some people like doing it with the big hunks. Some people don't. And I left that core because I don't really like the core. Then I just sliced it one time over. Put these together one time over. Put it into my pan. Put these together. Slice these up one time over. And I add this to my pan. Cabbage is a quick meal. It does not take a long time to cook cabbage. I know some people can cook it all day. It does not take that. I like a little bit of crunch still left in my cabbage. So we have our cabbage already ready, and we're going to walk this back to the stove because we're going to add this to the rest of our ingredients. Now that I'm back at the stove, I'm going to turn this up a little bit. And now it's just before turning up to high. Now you can see how my onions are actually, see how much fat was actually in that bacon. It was enough to really get this really cooking well. That's why I said you don't need any more fat. This is all that you need. So we're going to allow this to cook for a minute, and I'm going to get some water. You can watch you know, as it begin to cook down. You know, I got a lot of old school tricks. So here's another one. To this cabbage, I'm going to add 1 pack of Lipton soup mix. Now, we've already put in some salt. We've already put in some pepper. And that was just to do for the stuff that I'm sauteing in the skillet. But to my cabbage, I'm going to be adding 1 pack of Lipton soup mix, 2 tablespoons of sugar. I'm going to add the sugar to 1 cup of water. Now here I didn't mention it, but this is 2, they're not quite medium head and they're not kind of quite small head, so they're like in between the medium and the small heads of cabbage. Now I'm stirring the 2 teaspoons of sugar into, 2 tablespoons of sugar. I don't want to get that wrong. 2 tablespoons of sugar into my water, and I'm going to let that dissolve down in it. Because what I want to do is at all times I want to keep a balance in my food. Now you don't have to put the sugar in if you don't want to. If you prefer not to, that's fine. Look at how that's cooking. Okay? Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my bacon out. Okay? Because you don't need it to get crisp. You just need to cook it off because you want the bacon flavor and you want the onion flavor over in your cabbage. Now, I'm also going to take a small amount of my onions out. I'm going to leave a layer of the onions, and I'm going to take some of the onions out. Okay. Let's get okay. And I'll show you what I'm going to do with that in a minute. Now, I have about 1/3 of the onions in the skillet. To that, I'm going to add my cabbage. That's the bottom layer of cabbage. To that, I'm going to add a little bit of my onion and a couple pieces of my bacon. And I'm going to alternate again with the rest of cabbage. And you can still hear everything frying. Don't worry about it, because we're going to cut out all that frying action in a minute. Okay. Now, to that, I'm going to add the rest of my onion and my bacon mixture. Okay. That's done. To that, I'm going to pour over my water that I have my sugar in. Look at it. Beginning to come up now. I'm going to add just a little bit more of the cracked black pepper, because I told you I like cracked black pepper because it gives the food a fresher taste. A little bit more of the salt, and now what I'm doing is I'm salting and I'm adding the black pepper to my cabbage. On top of that, and it would be that I wouldn't be able to get it open, just one moment. Oh, there it is, it opened up. I'm going to add my Lipton soup mix. And I'm going to turn this up a little bit on high. Put my top over it. And I'm going to let that cook for like the first 10 minutes, and then we'll come back to this in 10 minutes. Now, you know, it's been about 10 minutes, so I think that this cabbage, and as you can see, the steam is really coming from the cabbage, and cabbage does cook down. So that's why you don't worry about how much was actually in the pot. I have not, as you can see, I have not turned the Lipton soup mix. And if I didn't tell you, I'm using the onion flavored Lipton soup mix. So now, I'm going to rotate it. Okay. If you could be here to smell that cabbage. That cabbage really smells good. Okay. A little bit came out. You don't really worry about that. Now, at this point, my water has completely almost depleted itself. See? I have a very little amount of juices that have left. And the reason why you see the juices have turned, that's because of that Lipton soup mix. But these cabbages look good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take out, or I'm going to add 1/2 more cup of water. Because, and that's all we're going to need to cook this cabbage off. That's really all we're going to need. Okay? Because the sugars have mixed in it really, really good. And I know that there's not going to be a problem with the salt and the pepper because we did do that. And we're going to let this cook off. If you can see your bacon at that point, you can put it back up on top if you want to. Not, you can just leave it. But the aroma coming from that cabbage is really awesome. So we'll cover it back up. We'll wait another 5 minutes. And this cabbage, so the steam is really coming from the cabbage. You can see it coming from on both sides. At this point, I'm going to turn the cabbage off. Yes, I said off. I'm going to add to this 2 tablespoons of butter. Now keep in mind, even though I've turned the cabbage off, cabbage does not stop cooking. And I like mine with a little bit of crunch. Okay, that cabbage is cooked down. It's ready for serving. What I'm going to do is sit this on the back burner of the stove. I'm going to prepare the cornbread, old school cornbread, and then this recipe will go with the Cornish hens that I will be preparing. That's going to be a part 1 and part 2. So we're done with this. Let's go to the old school cornbread.